Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Enzo LM, the channel that I will dedicate to the Elder Scrolls series. My name is Enzo, and LM stands for Lore Master. Now, with a franchise that is rich in lore, I decided that making this channel dedicated to the world of the Elder Scrolls will be a fun journey to embark on, as there will be countless topics we can venture into. So, if you want to come along for this ride, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the videos if you enjoy them, and to comment on any lore topics you would like me to cover. We will be covering lore, alternate timelines, some gameplay, and any news that pertain to this universe. So, without further ado, let's get into it. This will be interesting because, let's face it, when we start out a new channel, we would want to cover topics that cover large scale in the world of the Elder Scrolls. Some things come to mind are the Legend of the Dragonborn, the Oblivion Crisis from the Elder Scrolls 4, any major Skyrim topics, the different guilds we can join, the creatures found in the world, and trust me, we will definitely cover all of that. But funny enough, I'm actually going to start small. One of the many things I appreciate as someone who covers lore is when lore is put into what would otherwise be seen as one of the many quests one can find in Skyrim. Let's face it, a big critique we make of some, if not most RPG games, is when their side quests are nothing more than fetch quests, as in killing a boss, delivering an item, stealing items, etc. So in other words, Skyrim's miscellaneous quests. But when there's a quest that has a lot of lore behind it, even if it can be seen as insignificant in the grander scale of the world, I want to put a spotlight on it because I like it when designers go out of their way to make the smallest detail be very valuable. Which is why in today's lore video, we will be covering the entirety of the Laid to Rest quest in Morthal, from start to finish, including the characters involved, and their involvement in this quest. I have a feeling this will be a long one, so as always, sit back, relax, and grab a snack as we go through the lore behind this quest. When the Dragonborn first enters Morthal, they will come across a group of citizens gathered in front of the Jarl's Hall, led by Thonir, seemingly upset about something. When you talk to the citizens further, you will find out about a house that suffered a tragic accident that resulted in the death of a young girl, which will prompt the Dragonborn to inspect the burned house just behind the hall past the inn. The ghost of a girl will be found once the player enters the home, and she will talk about how she's not allowed to play in fear of Lilette, then proceeds to play a game of hide and seek with the Dragonborn. At night, when the Dragonborn finds a dugout on the hillside behind the burned house, they will be attacked by Lilette, who has now become a vampire. The girl then reveals how Alva seduced her, convinced her to tell her family that she left to join the Stormcloaks, then turns her into a vampire. Then the girl lays to rest afterwards. The Dragonborn is then tasked to find out Alva's involvement in the plot. They do so by sneaking into her house to the cellar, where they find a journal on her coffin, thus confirming her status as a vampire. When Thonir learns of the truth about what happened with his wife, he gathers a group of villagers and they march to Morvarth's lair to end the plans of the vampire. When the Dragonborn and the army of the citizens reach the entrance to the lair, everyone except for Thonir leaves, reassuring the Dragonborn that he would not turn away and is driven by revenge for the fate of Lilette. Whether or not the Dragonborn lets him join or tells him to wait, the result will be the same. Morvarth is defeated, and the Dragonborn gets the award from the Jarl of Morthal for stopping the biggest plan against Morthal and its people, and Hrogar returns to his senses, now being released from Alva's charm. Now that we've covered the quest more or less, let's go into the backstory. With the Dawnguard DLC installed, lore was given to Movarth, plus a dedicated character model, and we learned that he was once a decorated member of the Dawnguard, the faction who were tasked to keep the Jarl of Riften's son within Dawnguard's fortress, later turning into vampire hunters. Morvarth slayed many vampires, including those of Harkon's clan, which is a formidable group of vampires in itself. One day, he was tasked by a priest to do a job for him, which Morvarth did, but unfortunately, the latter succumbed to a vampire bite by the same priest, who kept his vampiric nature hidden from Morvarth, essentially turning him into the very beings he once swore to kill. Morvarth then fled and made his residence in a cave that we come to know as Morvarth's lair, where he would build his own coven and eventually enact his master plan to turn the nearby town of Morthal into an eternal feeding ground for his vampire coven. The execution of this plot actually has most of the details revealed in Alva's journal. The journal entry goes, "My life is dreary. Where is my prince to come rescue me? Where is my bold Nord warrior to sweep me off my feet? I met a man today when picking night flowers. He is exciting and exotic. We kissed in the moonlight. It was so romantic. I'm going to see him again tonight." Now I understand the true colors of the night. Morvarth has shown me the true black of night and the true red of blood. He has promised me a feast of blood if I do his bidding in Morthal. Hrogar was easy to seduce. Morvarth said I should find a protector first, someone to watch over my coffin during the day. Hrogar is perfect. Lilette came to visit me tonight. She's like my thirst. I've hidden her away to let her rise as my handmaiden. I've spread a rumor in town that she left to join the war. Fools. Morvarth has confided his grand plan to me. I am to seduce the guardsmen one at a time and make them my slaves. Then he and others from the coven can descend upon Morthal and take the entire town. We won't kill them. They will become cattle for our thirst, an endless supply of blood and an entire town to protect us from the cursed sun. Hrogar's family is becoming inconvenient. I've told Lilette to kill them all, but make it look like an accident. Hrogar must be seen as innocent if he is going to be my protector. That little fool. Lilette burned Hrogar's family alive. I asked for an accident and she gave me a scandal. To make matters worse, she tried to turn his little girl, Helgi. Except Lilette couldn't even get that right. She killed the child and left the body to burn. Something's wrong with Lilette. She keeps talking about Helgi. I think her mind has snapped. She seems to think that the child can be brought back to be her companion. There's a stranger in town looking into the fire. I'll have to be careful. To summarize this entry, he needed to make sure that all of Morthal's residents fell to his control. Morvarth could not merely kill them or turn them into vampires, for that would have defeated his plan of having a feeding ground. You can't exactly feed on a town if all of its residents are either dead or are vampires. Obviously, he starts with Alva, who was once quite infatuated with him and was looking for a romantic relationship, and thus making her the biggest mark for such a vampire with a devious plan. She's instructed by the vampire to seduce guards in Morthal into feeding her their blood, and eventually expand her influence. After going with the guards one by one, she will then move on to the citizens until she pretty much had Morthal under her control, to which the vampires would swoon in and feast on the town. The journal also stated that she needed a protector, so she chose Hrogar, the father of Helgi. Making him her permanent keeper and guardian of her coffin will be difficult while his family is alive. So when she was visited by Lilette, she was turned into a vampire and thus Alva's servant, claiming another victim in Morthal, and instructed her to murder his family and make it look like an accident. Not only did she fail in this task, but she also grew an obsession with Helgi and attempted to give her vampiric blood, but she died in the flames. Right after the house was burned, Hrogar immediately moved in with Alva, causing suspicion to fall to him for the events. Meanwhile, Lilette's husband Thonir went asking Alva for the disappearance of Lilette, as she was last seen visiting her, to which she responds that the now-turned vampire has left to join the Stormcloaks. The overall drive behind this quest and the need for the Dragonborn to stop it is Morvarth's overall plan to turn the town into a vampire feeding ground, as opposed to taking over the town by killing all of its citizens, which is genius because if they just outright took the town over, the other cities would have eradicated the vampires and most likely destroyed or rebuilt the town. Not to mention they wouldn't have any bodies to feed on instead of the dead ones in Morthal, plus some might try to escape to nearby cities. When I did this quest for like the 50th time and finally learned the entire story, I was enamored by how much lore was behind the quest, which is why I covered it. Even though it's a very small quest in the grander story of Skyrim, let alone the Elder Scrolls, I always appreciate it when a team of developers put effort into creating lore behind its quests. Granted, there may not be enough time to do that for all of the quests, which is why I wanted to spotlight this particular one, not to mention I just recently finished it. If there are any other quests with lore or just lore topics in general you think I should make videos on, let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, as well as turning on post notifications if you want to see more videos. This channel will be dedicated as an Elder Scrolls lore channel, which will cover Skyrim, Oblivion, some Elder Scrolls Online, and possibly lore from Arena, Daggerfall, and Morrowind. While I have never played those games, I will certainly invest in its lore and share as many stories as possible. Other than that, this is Enzo signing out, and I will see you all in the next lore video.